Hi, and welcome to this training on AcctFusion. Today we'll be going over the different functions that AcctFusion provides, so let's get started. Let's first take a look at accounts receivable. As you can see, by clicking the drop-down menu, we see invoices, payments, recurring, and customers and agents. Let's first take a dive into invoices. By clicking on invoices, you're able to go in and see all previous invoices that have either been generated by a transaction that was pushed through from Realty APX, or you can create your own invoice. If you click Create Invoice, you can select a customer. Once you've selected the correct customer, you also want to select location to make sure that the location corresponds with what office this occurred in if you have multiple offices that you're keeping separate accounting records for. And let's say that Abel is a agent of ours and we want to collect a desk fee. So there's two ways that you can do this. You can, if you go to number, desk fee is a common fee that occurs, and so in the system, if you were to select desk fee, it will automatically fill the description name for you. So as you can see, we have the description desk fee, quantity you would put as 1, and then you would want to enter in the price of the desk fee that is occurring. And once you've done that, you can go ahead and select the amount paid if you already have received money from that agent, or if it is an outstanding invoice, you'd want to leave that blank. Also note, the bank and the payment type are always important and need to be accurate. The other way that you can do this, if this is not a desk fee, just another invoice that you're receiving, is you can just type in the description of what it is. So you can do desk fee receivable or any other receivable that you have. Select the quantity, the price, and then you would want to select the corresponding account that relates to the income that you're receiving. So whether that's product sales, desk fee, E&O income, management fee income, select which one relates closest to your accounting. And the last thing to note is the recurring checkbox. If you have a recurring invoice that will be sent on a quarterly or monthly or a yearly basis, you will want to check this, because I will show you in a second how you can automatically generate these invoices without having to go in and create a new invoice every time. And once you've done this, you can click Save. The next thing that we will do is, once we've received a payment from Abel, we will go into the Payment tab, click Add Payment. We will find Abel, click Get Invoices, and all of her outstanding invoices will occur in our system. Once we've clicked Paid, we can enter in the payment amount, make sure the payment type, the bank account are correct, and click Save. We will now have that payment in our system, and if we quickly go to our dashboard, we will note that our agent receivables is now 0. So when we had that outstanding invoice, this was raised, and when it's paid, it goes back to 0. It's important to note that the group that a customer or agent corresponds with is the determining factor in whether there will be an agent receivable, transaction receivable, or other receivable. So let's just take a quick look at some of our customers and agents. And if we go to Abel, we will note that her group is agents, so that means that she will have an agent receivable or an agent payable in our dashboard, and more importantly in the accounting account that corresponds. So the last thing on the accounts receivable is recurring. Remember that I checked that recurring box. So let's say I do this desk fee every month for Abel. If I click Generate on the month, now that same invoice with the same amount has been generated. So now if we go to Invoices, we will see that she has an outstanding invoice for the next month of July. Today is June. And so that just makes it a lot easier for us, and that we don't have to go in and do that extra work of creating more invoices. All right, the next section that we will go over is the Accounts Payable tab. Expenses are a common part of every business. When we have an expense, we can click on Expense, click Add Expense, and select the vendor that we're paying. If it's a utility company, we can select that. Let's say communications, we'll do a phone bill. Phone bill would be the descriptions. You would enter in the quantity, the amount, select the location that is correct. If it's a recurring expense, you can check that box and it will work the same way as we explained before. Then you'll want to select the expense account that corresponds with whatever we are paying out. So in this case, we may do office expense. Next, you'll select the bank, the payment type, and let's say that we paid this out immediately. So we wanted to pay $1,000. We click Save. That expense has now been generated. Now you know it says please enter a number. So this number is a way for you to track the expenses. So whether that is an expense number that's associated with an invoice that you received, or if not, a lot of times people will just do the date or the check number whatever you feel will help you remember whatever that expense is. So now if I click save, you can see the expense numbers and how that can help with organization. And that is how the expenses work. Now, if I had not paid my expense as I had generated it, I would need to pay in the system when I have paid that amount out. So let's go to an outstanding expense that we have. And if we click get invoices, we owe them $200. So if we click pay that amount, click save, now we've been able to pay that. We can also print out a check if we paid by check, and we can keep our expenses organized. As you can see, the recurring tab will do the same, act in the exact same way as accounts receivable and being able to generate recurring expenses. And in the vendor agents tab, as noted in the setup video, you can create vendors in this menu. And once again, it's important to note the group and how that will affect the different accounts. Remember that an agent will affect the commissions payable, because most agents that we're paying are being paid by commissions. Any vendors will, such as utilities, if we set them up as a vendor, we will be a vendor payable, and then there's also an other payable in that group, as you can see here. All right, and the last section that we want to go into is advanced accounting. This will be very useful for someone who has a intermediate level experience level of accounting. For journal entries, you're able to go into journal entries and manipulate any journal entries that you need to. So you can create manual journal entries. However, it's important to note that whenever you do an invoice or an expense, these journal entries, the corresponding journal entries, are automatically generated. So the only time you would go into here is if there was an error that you wanted to correct, or anything like that that didn't happen based on a transaction or an expense or a receivable. Then you could go in, you could select the account, and you would select the amount that is worth. Make sure that the debits and the credits equal each other. The system won't let you save unless they're balanced. And then you can create your own journal entry there from the Journal Entry Advanced menu. The entry source would just be whoever's entering that in, and then you can describe the journal entry as well. And as you can see in here, all these journal entries have been automatically generated from the expenses and the payments that we have received and paid out in the previous part of the video.